You're sitting on the couch. Your dog walks over. Not excited, not playful, just quietly. There. They look at you for a moment. You barely notice. Maybe you're on your phone. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you gently push them away, and something changes. They don't bark. They don't protest. They just leave. And the strange part is not what they do. It's what they stop doing. So here's the question. When you ignore your dog, what do they actually feel? Most people believe it's simple. Dogs are independent enough. They will just find something else to do. Sleep, chew a toy, wait it out. Maybe they feel a little bored, maybe a little disappointed, but nothing deep, nothing that really matters. That belief feels comforting because it means your absence, your silence, your distraction does not hurt them. But that belief is wrong. What your dog experiences is not boredom. It is something much closer to emotional confusion, and sometimes something even deeper. To understand this, you have to forget everything you think you know about dogs, because your dog does not see you the way you see them. You see your dog as part of your life. They see you as the center of theirs. Research in canine cognition has shown that dogs form attachment bonds that closely resemble the bond between a child and a caregiver, not similar. Functionally the same, when separated, they show distress. When reunited, they calm down. When uncertain, they seek proximity. This is not loyalty. This is attachment, which means something important. When you ignore your dog, they are not just being ignored. They are being emotionally disconnected from their primary source of safety, and their brain notices immediately. Inside your dog's brain, there is a structure that processes emotional meaning. It reacts strongly to your voice, your scent, your presence, and when those signals disappear or become inconsistent, the brain does not interpret it as neutral. It interprets it as uncertainty, and uncertainty, for a social animal, is one of the most stressful states. There is a study that observed dogs when their owners suddenly stopped responding to them. No commands, no eye contact, no acknowledgement. What happened was subtle, but powerful. The dogs tried to reconnect. They moved closer. They looked up. They nudged. They waited. And when nothing happened, their behavior changed. Some dogs became still. Others walked away slowly. Not out of anger, but out of something closer to emotional withdrawal. This is where most people misunderstand what they are seeing. They think the dog gave up or lost interest. But that is not what is happening. Your dog is adjusting their expectations. They are learning, in that moment, that connection is not available. And that changes something inside them. Because connection, for a dog, is not optional. It is biological. In studies measuring oxytocin, the bonding hormone, both dogs and humans show increased levels when they interact. Eye contact alone can trigger this response. Touch strengthens it. Presence stabilizes it. But when that interaction disappears, so does the chemical reinforcement. Your dog's brain shifts from connection to absence, from safety to uncertainty. And here is where it becomes even more interesting, because your dog does not think in words. They do not create stories like humans do. They do not say, "My owner is busy," or "This is temporary." They feel patterns, and when a pattern breaks, they feel it immediately. Imagine this from their perspective. You are the most predictable part of their world. Your voice, your touch, your attention, and suddenly you are there, but not really there. You look at something else. You do not respond. You do not engage. To a human, this is normal. To a dog, it is confusing, because presence without connection does not make sense to them. This is why some dogs react strongly when ignored. They bark, they paw, they demand attention, not because they are spoiled, but because they are trying to restore a broken pattern. Other dogs do the opposite. They become quiet. They move away. They lie down somewhere else. And this is the part most people miss. The quiet dog is not always the calm dog. Sometimes, the quiet dog is the one who has stopped trying. There is a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. When an animal repeatedly experiences that their actions do not change the outcome, they stop acting, not because they feel better, but because they feel nothing will work. And while this concept comes from broader animal research, its emotional pattern appears in dogs as well. A dog that stops asking for attention is not always independent. Sometimes, they have learned that asking does not bring connection, and that realization is silent, but powerful. This does not mean you have damaged your dog. It means your dog is constantly adapting to you, to your energy, to your presence, to your emotional availability. There is another layer to this, one that most people never consider. Dogs do not just respond to your actions, they respond to your internal state. Studies measuring long-term stress markers have shown that dogs and their owners often synchronize. When you are stressed, your dog's stress increases. When you are calm, your dog settles. Your emotional state becomes their environment. So when you ignore your dog, it is rarely just silence. It often comes with distraction, tension, mental absence, and your dog feels that too, not as a thought, but as a shift in atmosphere. That is why sometimes, even when you are physically present, your dog behaves as if you are gone. Because emotionally, you are, and your dog knows the difference. This connects to something deeply rooted in their evolution. Dogs evolved alongside humans, not just living near them, but living with them, sleeping beside them, moving with them, reading them. Over thousands of years, the dogs that survived were the ones that stayed close, that understood human signals, that depended on connection. So your dog is not designed to ignore you. They are designed to tune into you constantly. And when that connection disappears, even briefly, it matters. But here is the part that changes everything. Ignoring your dog is not always harmful. What matters is the pattern. Occasional disconnection is natural. Constant emotional absence is different. Dogs are incredibly resilient. They do not need constant attention. They need consistent meaning. They need to understand that connection is available, that when they reach out, you are there. This is why small moments matter more than long periods. A short moment of true attention, eye contact, a gentle touch, a calm voice can restore what hours of silence slowly weaken. Because your dog is not measuring time. They are measuring connection, and connection is built in moments, not duration. There is one insight that most people never realize. Your dog does not need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. Not always, but often enough. Because to your dog, you are not just part of their day. You are the structure of it. You are the emotional anchor that makes their world make sense. And when you ignore them, even for a moment, they feel the shift. Not as rejection, but as distance. And distance, to a bonded animal, always means one thing. Something has changed. But here is the most important part. Every time you turn back toward them, every time you reconnect, you rewrite that feeling. You remind them that the bond is still there, that the pattern is still intact, that they are still safe. And this is where everything becomes emotional, because your dog does not remember every time you ignored them, but they remember how often you came back, how often you chose them again, how often you closed the distance. So the next time your dog walks up to you and just stands there quietly, do not see it as nothing. Do not assume it is random. That moment is a question, a small, silent question. Are you still there? And your response, no matter how small, is the answer they build their world around. You are not just their owner. You are the place their emotions return to. And every time you notice them, you remind them that they still belong. If this made you see your dog differently, tell me, what does your dog do when you stop paying attention? And next time, look a little closer, because the smallest moments are the ones they feel the most.